Today, I'm going to write your macronutrient prescription. So what I decided to do with this video, we're gonna make a couple of these, is I posted on my story and I said, hey, I wanna make your macronutrient prescription. Send me your stats, send me your body comp, your weight, your goals, your lifestyle, so on and so forth. And I got an overwhelming amount of responses, which is really, really cool. So I picked a couple people that I'm gonna use. The first one is Stephanie, otherwise known as My Life on Fitness. She is very similar to about 10 other women who responded to this message, which is why I'm going to pick her, and we're gonna dive into her exact goal. Her exact goal is understanding how to shift into maintenance and reverse diet for muscle growth out of a cut. So she had already lost a significant amount of weight. Now she's at a point where, what does she do now? How does she move forward? How does she build muscle without gaining fat? What does maintenance look like? And that's what we're gonna dive into right now. All right, so first things to go over, the biggest caveat with this was from a DM, meaning normally when somebody applies for coaching, I'm going to dig through their food logs. I'm going to ask them 25 to 30 questions. Once I get those questions back, I'm actually probably gonna ask 5 to 10 more questions, and I'm gonna actually have an interview with them on the phone. That's part of what we do inside of our coaching. That's what makes it individualized. This is taking a DM, a small DM, and trying to create a plan with it. And the reason I'm saying that is to provide context. This is a strategy. This is a method. These are thought processes you can use to help you build your diet. It is not a diet for you. Even Stephanie, who I just wrote this for, probably shouldn't use this exact thing. We need to manipulate over time. However, I do think this is a pretty solid strategy for her to run with and start manipulating and adjusting as things progress. So the first thing to state, she's currently at 1,600 calories at 136 protein, 175 carb, 42 fat. First things first, 42 grams of fat, just make it 45, make it 40. 136, really? Make it 135. When we do calculations and it gives you 138.5, just round up or down. The reality of macronutrients is that it's a very close, accurate range or estimate. I always use this as an example and it sounds kind of ridiculous, but if we take a chicken breast, 4-ounce chicken breast, it is 26 grams of protein and 2.5 grams of fat on average. Yes, I know that by heart. However, every single chicken that roamed the earth did not have the same amount of fat, did not have the same lifespan, did not eat the same diet, did not have the same amount of muscle. Therefore, the nutrients are probably different. And it sounds ridiculous, but it's very true. Meaning, if you hit 136, it's the same thing as 135, same thing as 140, and even that, you should be aiming for ranges. Nobody needs to be that exact with their diet unless they're about to step on stage. If you are just doing this for a lifestyle approach, stick with around 5 to 10 grams away from your target protein and carb, and stick from around 3 to 5 grams away from your target fat. We focus on ranges. That's what makes this lifestyle applicable. Now, that being said, she's at 1,600 calories and she has reversed from 1,400 or 1,500 calories and she lost 30 pounds over 15 months. What this means is she has already been dieting for 15 months. Now her goal is to finish this reverse diet process, find maintenance, and begin to build lean muscle mass without adding fat. Just like 10 other women who DM me who were all around the same weight. It was actually pretty crazy. I had about 10 to 15 different women who were all between 115 to 140 pounds, who all had already lost weight, who all had low macros, who needed a reverse diet, find maintenance, and build muscle. Pretty crazy. Common? Yes. So we are going to map this out and it's probably gonna be applicable to a lot of you that responded to the message. So she's at 1,600, which means she has added about 100 to 200 calories, maybe. She started the reverse diet process. We're gonna keep building on that. She is circuit training 5 times a week, and she has been doing a form of intermittent fasting since July, which means that every single day she skips breakfast and she doesn't eat for an extended period of time before her meals. She didn't give me much information on that. It could be 14 hours, could be 16 hours, could even be 18 hours. So the things I'm going to change, before we get into the caloric calculations, I am going to change circuit training. When you are doing a reverse diet, I find the best results possible by doing 2 different things. A, switching up what you are doing right now. Give yourself a new novelty. Change up what you have been doing. If you've been on a fat loss goal for 15 months and you've been doing circuit training 5 times a week for 15 months, it's time for a change. And I can almost guarantee you that it's gonna shock your system into some new progress. Now, shock the muscle is a myth. It is a funny term that is debunked by science. So I'm not saying you're gonna shock the muscle, But there are research studies that show if you have been doing a type of training for 1, 2, 3 years and you dramatically change things up, you actually do create faster results because it's so different. It is novelty. It's a new stress stimulus. Because of that, I would like to change her 5 times a week circuit training to 4 times a week of strength training. This is gonna be either a full body or an upper lower split with a conjugate style approach. What I mean by that is 2 days a week she's doing a max effort. So whether it's full body or upper lower, 2 of those days are gonna be lower rep, heavier weight, really focusing on performance and building strength. 2 of those days are going to be hypertrophy dominant, meaning we are going 8 reps, 10 reps, 12 reps, possibly even up to 20 reps. So unlike the true conjugate method that uses strength and speed, we are using a modified conjugate method that uses strength and hypertrophy. So we're changing the dynamic effort day to a repetition effort day. We're gonna change her training to that 4 times a week. The other 2 days a week, because she's gonna be active 6 days a week, we're gonna do 1 day of LISS, low intensity cardio. We're gonna place that on Wednesday. Monday, Tuesday are max effort, meaning they're gonna be the most draining days on her nervous system. So on Wednesday, I want her going for a long walk, 30 to 40 minutes, moving the body, maybe breaking a sweat, but not really fatiguing her body much at all and actually helping her recovery. Thursday is gonna be day 1 of hypertrophy. Friday is gonna be high intensity cardio. So this can be intervals on an assault bike, could be sled work, could be swings, something that's gonna jack her heart rate up and then give herself rest in between. And then Saturday, we're gonna finish with our final hypertrophy day. Sunday is complete rest. We are also gonna make sure she's maintaining or increasing her NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis. This is basically just saying, hey, if you've been getting 10,000 steps a day, continue to get 10,000 steps a day. If you typically stand while you work, keep standing while you work. I see a lot of people who don't do this on the way down, and this is one of the reasons why metabolic adaptation occurs. When we increase or take away, our calories, we have less energy coming in, and what that means is that we will naturally put less energy out, meaning our body will just naturally move less. So when I'm talking here, when I'm gonna diet, I'm gonna move less, I'm gonna blink less, I'm gonna talk slower. But when I have calories, I'm clearly not on a diet right now. I can go and go and go and go, 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 go. So we wanna keep that up. So watch your NEAT as you go down, but as we increase calories, we wanna make sure that we increase NEAT as well and be conscious of it. There's 2 different types of people. There's people with a highly adaptive metabolism and a non-responsive metabolism. The highly adaptive metabolisms are the people we see who respond really well to reverse diets. The reality of what's happening for the most part is when they increase calories, their body gets them moving more naturally, and they don't know it, they just think they're a hyper responder. It could be a hyper responder, but it could be that your body's cues are just really in tune with the energy coming in. Therefore, the energy going out increases. My advice to you, Stephanie, is as we increase your calories, naturally move more. Be conscious of it. Set goals for your NEAT to make sure you're forcing your body to become highly adaptive with the metabolism. It'll help you stay lean while we increase that. Now, the goal for you is to work up to 2,300 calories. This is based on you training pretty hard, and this is a very, very simple calculation. This does not factor much calculations of TDE, your hormones, your activity levels, Harris Benedict formula, any of that shit. This is literally just me saying 135 times 15. That's what gave me that number. 15 is a rough average for maintenance calories. Anywhere between 14 to 16 times your body weight is a rough estimate where your maintenance calories are probably gonna be. 12 to 14 is fat loss, and I would say 16 to 20 is going to be muscle growth and gains. If we want a lean gain, the first thing we need to do is find maintenance and really just optimize training and nutrient timing and sleep. If we manage our stress, we optimize our training, and we make sure that we're timing our meals properly, which is my next point. We're gonna get rid of intermittent fasting, but more on that in a sec. If we do those 3 things at maintenance, we will build muscle. Studies show that we actually can build muscle at maintenance. It might not be as rapid or quick as in a surplus, but the benefit is by taking that slower process, we actually maintain a leaner body, which is what most of us want. We want muscle, but we wanna see the muscle too. We don't wanna be overweight. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna take a wild guess and say that based on your activity level, which is pretty active, and the fact that you've already lost 30 pounds, we're gonna set you at an average, like dead center maintenance of 15, which gives us 2,000 and 2,500 calories. Then we are gonna go 135 times 1.1. This is just slightly over your body weight in protein. The reason I wanna do that is because you're training a lot. I wanna keep you satiated as we reverse diet, because after you get done with a long-term diet, hunger and cravings can be a factor that we have to control. high protein is gonna help that. The other reason is because we're gonna be cranking carbs up pretty high, and as we crank carbs up, we're gonna get a lot of trace proteins from peanut butter or nut butter or oats or rice or potatoes or broccoli and Brussels sprouts. These things have protein in it, but they are not very anabolic. They are not very bioavailable like animal proteins and eggs and meat and dairy is, or whey protein. Because of that, we're gonna go slightly above 1 gram per pound, and that's gonna allow us to ensure we're getting more than enough protein per meal to be anabolic and build muscle and recover faster. So the next one we're gonna do is fat, 135 times 0.4. 0.4 is the bare minimum I like to set at for maintenance with females for hormonal and neurological purposes. This is gonna give us 54 grams of fat. And like I said, we're just gonna bump it up to 55, just like I did here. It gave us 148.5. It's 150 grams of protein. These little tiny numbers just annoy me. There's no reason to put them in your diet. Just round up or down. 135 times 0.4 equals 54, which gives us 55 grams of fat. This is the minimal effective dose in my opinion. This is gonna give you enough fat to be more than healthy, optimal, keep your joints healthy, not have any decline of hormonal outputs, but it's not so much fat that our body doesn't know what to do with it and starts storing it as fat. Our energy is gonna come from carbs right here, which is what we're giving the majority of our calories to. Therefore, we wanna keep fats at the minimal effective dose where our body uses them all, stores as little as possible, and we can thrive on the energy of carbs, which our body does favor, especially when we're training really hard, which you are. Once we have 55 and 150, that gives us a total of 1,095 calories. So if we subtract that from 2,025, which is our total, it gives us 930. 930 calories divided by 4, because 4 grams of carbs per calorie, or 4 calories per gram of carb, gives us 232.5, which are gonna round up to 235. This leaves us with 150 protein, 235 carb, and 55 fat for a total of 2,035 calories. The thing here is we are not going to jump from 1622 to 2,035 whatsoever. Your first bump up is going to be increasing your protein from 136 to 150 and your fat from 42 to 50. And we're gonna leave carbs. You're gonna leave that for anywhere between 1 to 3 weeks. If your weight jumps up, wait for it to stabilize before you adjust. If your weight drops, great. That means you were in need of this reverse diet and you can consistently bump up. The faster we can increase your diet, the better. But the faster we increase your diet, the more likely you are to see fluctuations, which is okay. Remember, as we increase carbs, every 1 gram of carb holds about 2 to 4 grams of water, which means as we add carbs, we pull more water into the system. As we add calories, we likely have more sodium coming in naturally. Sodium pulls water. Last but not least, as we have more calories, we have more food in our stomach, which weighs down the scale. These 3 things in combination add to weight accumulation during a reverse diet. They are not stored fat, so you don't have to worry. However, it is going to weigh down the scale and you have to be ready to see that number jump a little bit. That being said, after you bump this to 150 and this to 50, we're gonna wait 1 to 3 weeks. When you're ready to adjust again, you are gonna add 15 grams of carbs. Anywhere between 10 to 20, everybody responds differently, and you're gonna consistently bump up 10 to 20 grams of carbs every 1 to 2 weeks while increasing your volume and intensity in the gym, trying to push harder and harder and harder until you get to this amount. Once you get to this amount, you are truly at what I would consider maintenance. Now, you might get to 220 and notice your weight is climbing up too quick. Stop there, that's your maintenance. You might be able to go all the way to 265 and then your weight starts climbing. Cool, go all the way there. This is just a direction. It's a North Star to start working towards. And this is just a strategy to build upon. The way I would consider doing this along the way, if you don't want to just bump up every couple weeks, is you could actually work to your new intake with diet break intervals. The way I like to do this is you would take a full week at these new calories and then come back to these lower calories. So now you go from all low to alternating every couple weeks having a full diet break. And then it's every other week's a diet break. And then it's every 3 days, and then it's every 2 days. And then eventually you have 1 low calorie day a week. Eventually you have 0. What you are doing is training your body to intake this higher intake while maintaining this new weight, wherever your weight is. I didn't write it down, 135 pounds, right? So by doing that, we're slowly working the process of being able to sustain 2,000 calories at a lower body weight. So there's 2 routes to take. Diet break intervals, which can be a little bit more of a process and a lot more adjusting and fine tuning, which is why it's a more advanced strategy. I probably would get a coach if you're gonna go that route. Or you can just inch it up like I mentioned. First bump, 150, 50, wait a couple weeks, inch up your carbs until you reach that amount. Change your training, change your cardio, change your NEAT. This is the strategy I would use for you, Stephanie.